welcome back to Engage You Cumbria. It's a pleasure to have you join us again. What a glorious week it's been. The weather has been beautiful, and I hope you've all enjoyed some outside time and with some friends and family now that we can do that too. Just as a reminder, if anybody's joining that hasn't done before, we are here to bring a break in your day. So it's bringing some guidance, some tips, some features from local businesses, and we've got a competition winner to announce today as well. Just on the note of some of the changes that have happened recently in the last, or since we last spoke, obviously related to COVID-19, we have stopped now clapping the NHS. Not because they deserve it any less, but I agree. I think it's an opportunity to take a step forward. We're all having to manoeuvre into our new normality. We've got to take some control and accountability for that as well. But something else that stopped this week as well was Sophie Ellis-Bextor. I don't know whether any of you have been joining her. I think she calls it her party in the kitchen or karaoke in the kitchen. Really has brightened my Fridays. If you haven't seen them, they are still on our Facebook page, so take a look. So on to that competition winner. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we put up a competition for a child between the age of 7 to 15 to come up with a wellbeing postcard, something that we could all send to our friends and family, those that we're missing, to bring a smile to their face. And drum roll please, we've had some lovely entries, but the one that was judged independently by Claire's business partner has chosen this one here, which is by Holly, and she's just 7. Absolutely fantastic. It certainly made me smile. So this will go up on our Facebook page. Obviously we'll be dropping off her art set and notebook as well. So well done, Holly, and thank you so much everybody for all those entries. So as usual, we're going to hand over to Claire. She brings all sorts of experience and knowledge in terms of well-being, with fitness, first aid. We've had everything. Today it's something that is very close to her heart. So I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm going to straight away hand over to Claire. Claire, over to you.
Thanks, Catherine, and well done, Holly, on that picture. It was a very bright picture, very nice. Yes, so I want to talk to you today about what the hashtag Be Kind means to you. And I want to tell you a little bit more about what it means to me. Certainly, for most of my adult life, I've attempted to adopt and use that motto, although the motto that I've always used, and I've carried it forward into the Better Bodies UK business, is be kind always. Over the last few weeks, I've kind of said a few things that have maybe told you a little bit about my background, but I've found it very difficult sometimes to be kind always, because right from my very younger years of growing up in care through to varying things in my adult life, I've come across many situations where people have been unkind to me, and I'm sure you'll agree with me that when people are being unkind to you, it makes it more difficult to try and always be kind in everything that you do. I wonder how many of you actually heard the motto "Be Kind" before Caroline Flack, and you know, when it came out and it was all over the news and it was being hashtagged by everyone. It was really heartwarming to see how many people were really taking that on board, although it was a shame that it brought something so sad that happened for people to use the motto. And I've been watching over this time during COVID-19 and noticing that, you know, to begin with, a lot of people were using either the same hashtag or kind of saying how we should be kind to each other and how COVID-19 has brought about lots of different things in our lives. But what I have noticed just recently was, or is, people being unkind again. And really, I wanted to kind of, you know, sometimes you think it's the obvious, but it perhaps isn't as obvious. Random acts of kindness stay with people for quite a while. I don't know if anybody's ever done anything kind for you, but you kind of then want to tell everybody, don't you? Or perhaps share a picture on Facebook, or tag that person in on Facebook or some sort of other social media, because it's meant a lot to you. I know just recently, or during lockdown, I'm not from Cumbria originally, and I had to go to see my son, who, as you know, have got special needs. And I actually did a drive-by and dropped some flowers off in the gardens of some of my friends' houses. And about a week or two later, let me turn that beep of my phone off. A week or two later, they actually all sent me a lovely piece of jewellery, and that random act of kindness has really stayed with me. But equally, what is sad is that when people are unkind to you, that also stays with you. It's something that you also might tell other people about. It's something that you almost might keep within you and not tell anybody about, because it's made you feel so sad. And whether that not being kind comes written or verbally, it's really hard to take back. Now, that's not to say that we don't all accidentally upset people, but also in that whole being kind part, for me, anytime I've upset somebody and haven't meant to upset them, or perhaps in the heat of the moment have upset them, I've always thought it's important to go back over that moment and talk about it with that person, and say that you're sorry for upsetting them. Catherine talks a lot, and she's talked a lot over the last kind of few weeks, about different behaviour change models, and they're a great way of embedding change into your life and behaviour change into your life. And I think that this is something that is so important as we come out of COVID-19, for people to try and embed into their lives. And continue to try to talk over the dog, who's obviously got a squeaky toy in the background, but that's what happens when we do these things live. So going forward, I kind of want you to think, and I really do try so hard to do this, and have always tried hard to do this, that when something happens and I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about saying something or writing something in response, I weigh up the value of what I'm going to write or what I'm going to say. And if the upset or the aftermath from that isn't worthwhile what I'm going to say or write, then I keep that opinion in my head. I don't say it, or I don't write it, and I just keep it to myself, because sometimes that's a lot nicer of a thing to do. And as we all return to all our new ways of life, everything's going to be so different for everybody. Everybody's going to have their own mountains that they have to climb. I know I have my own mountain with my business and a house sale that's gone wrong during COVID-19, and I'm sure each and every one of us somehow or another will be impacted going forwards. But what I'd really like you to try and remember is, when you think someone else is wrong, it's their life, not yours. It's their life. So support people, don't pressure them. Understand other people and don't judge them. Talk to other people rather than berate them or ignore them. And think mainly about what you have to be grateful for rather than what you don't have to be grateful for. And most of all, be kind always. Thank you very much. And I'm going to hand back to Catherine.
Thank you so much, Claire. Obviously, close to Claire's heart, very thought-provoking. We've all seen so much in the press lately, as Claire mentioned, around Caroline Flack and Be Kind. If it's not something you think about immediately, take this away and think about what Claire has said. her Be Kind mindset is definitely one reason why she is supporting this channel as well, by sharing the information and the guidance that she has. So thank you for that. So coming up next, as we normally do, we bring a guest from a local business. And given COVID-19 and all to do with health, what an opportunity to think about our diets. Now, Jackie is a nutrition coach, so she's going to take us through some tips and guidance and explain why our diet is vital, particularly at the moment as well. So handing over to you, Jackie, thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and thank you so much for having me on Engage You Cumbria. Strange days, and I think health has become so much more important to all of us in the face of this horrible, horrible disease. And people are doing all sorts of things that are good for them, maybe watching some of Claire's exercise classes and joining in, going out for walks, getting fresh air and sunshine. So, you know, well done, everybody. You know, you're doing great. But as Catherine says, I'm a nutrition lady, and I really think it makes a massive difference what you eat, what you put into your body. And I have a powerful message of hope for you, how simply we can all improve our health. I could talk about food all night, but I'm going to just stick to one thing. Now, Catherine started Engage You Cumbria because we're all stuck at home. And that got me thinking about why are we all locked down? And it's all been to protect an already stretched NHS from overwhelm. Why was our NHS already overstretched? And sadly, Britain has the most terrible burden of chronic disease. We're a very, very unhealthy nation. Also, if people do catch this virus, they suffer much worse and are much more likely to die than people who are healthy to start with. So pre-existing conditions, and in particular, blood sugar stability, really, really are important at the moment. So the best thing that we can do, since a lot of these metabolic conditions are related to our diet, the best thing we can do is to eat real food. So that's my message tonight, eat real food. Now, what do I mean by real food? I didn't want to have a living room full of pieces of food, so I'm going to see if I can show you some pictures on a screen share. The host has disabled the screen sharing feature. Please, can you enable the screen sharing feature? There we go. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, so number one, fish. Fish is fantastic, really good for your heart and your brain. But fish should look like a fish. It should be fish-shaped rather than oblong and covered in breadcrumbs. I need to move that out of the way of these little pictures. I've lost my little arrow. There we go. A chicken should be chicken-shaped rather than nuggets. You're getting the idea? Vegetables, fresh vegetables, absolutely wonderful. Every meal should include plants, proteins and fats. So fresh plants, in weather like this, you might want a salad, wonderful tomatoes. If it's cold, then you can cook them. And then put those ingredients together yourself to make meals out of fresh food. So this is an example of a salmon salad that I just threw together. Olive oil on top, because you know, careful with your dressings too. So that's what I mean by real food. And I think that some good things are going to come out of this lockdown. The fact that we're looking after ourselves so much better, exercising, being kind to each other, very important, and doing more home cooking, because we cannot go out for dinner anymore. You can get the whole family involved, make it fun. You don't have to follow recipes or weigh or measure anything. Just be imaginative, get creative, throw it together. A friend of mine said, cooking is just common sense and the application of heat. I think he's so right. So what's in it for you? Eating real food is one of the main things that you can do to improve your metabolic health. And if you do catch the virus, what the statistics are showing about the risk of death, if your blood sugar is stable, your risk of dying from the virus is 10 times lower. That's 1,000%. It's well worth doing. How can you start? One of the places where your blood sugar goes wrong is breakfast. And this is a diagram by David Unwin, who works with diabetics down in Southport. And he has done these diagrams to show what happens once your food gets into your body and how it affects your blood. So you can see that cereal, toast and fruit juice is a really bad way to start the day. What's a good way to start the day? This is a lovely one from the fabulous John Gabriel. So this full fat Greek yogurt, there's some ground flax seeds, some hemp, some chia seeds and some fresh fruit. So that's a really easy, lovely, delicious one. I like a smoothie sometimes. My blood sugar used to be all over the place, let me tell you. I was hungry all the time. I was constantly snacking. It was a disaster. This one is based on avocado and coconut milk mostly. Anybody wants the recipe, you can have it. This is what it looks like once it's been whizzed up. It's delicious, and that will keep me going for 5 or 6 hours. If your blood sugar is stable, you do not need to snack between meals, and that is the secret. This is a little bit of leftover gammon from the night before with egg and mushrooms and a bit of fresh veg, just cooked up in a frying pan. That's another good breakfast that will keep you going for a long time. Eggs, in fact, are fabulous. They're so versatile. You can use them in so many different ways. You can boil them, you can fry them, you can scramble them. What about scrambled egg and smoked salmon? Doesn't that sound a bit indulgent? Really delicious. Did you know you can poach one in the microwave in 30 seconds? So they're quick as well, packed full of nutrition. All this fresh food is packed full of nutrition, the vitamins and minerals that you need for your health. Whereas things in packets that have been made in factories, a lot of that really good nutrition has gone, and instead they put in lots of nasty chemicals and things. So buy fresh ingredients, eat real food, make your meals yourself, and you'll not only do yourself good, but you'll be doing the health service good. If we're not clapping them anymore, let's eat well ourselves, eat real food, protect the NHS, save lives. So thanks very much for having me. There'll be some links up later on the Facebook page, but I wish you well, and thanks very much, and back to Catherine.
Thank you so much, Jackie. What an education. We've definitely got some tips there in terms of maintaining our health through our diet, but as Jackie rightly says, this is more than that. This is about supporting our health service as well. And as Jackie said, we will put some links. Jackie's going to supply some, and we'll put them on the Facebook page, Engage You Cumbria Facebook page, so you can refer back to those and get some nice healthy recipes as well. So as lockdown starts to be lifted for us all, there comes a point where we have to start thinking about our own normality, our new norm. Maybe new ways of working, new ways of living with your family, all sorts of things. And with that, no doubt, you'll be having to make some decisions. Some of them might be very big decisions. Making decisions can be challenging. So I thought, why don't we go through something, an exercise, some questions that will maybe help you make those decisions. Some of you may have done self-reflection in the past. I have a document here through my business, my coaching business, that I often provide to my clients. So I thought we'd use some of this and some of the questions to share with you today, and I hope they're useful. For those that haven't done self-reflection or not heard about it before, self-reflection is very much about understanding your thoughts, your behaviours, in order to develop our self-awareness. If we have self-awareness, we have a raised confidence level, and we can quite often make decisions so much easier. So, as I say, I've got a document here. I'm going to put this on Engage You Cumbria's Facebook page as well. There are a few things to bear in mind to begin with in terms of when you are self-reflecting. First of all, be honest with yourself. Look out when you're answering the questions, look out for patterns in your thoughts, patterns in your actions. You might even want to capture this in a reflection book. I have one which I should have had with me to hand. It's a little book with butterflies on, and I do regular self-reflection and capture that. It can be quite useful, particularly if you're reflecting in a work environment. You can use that for appraisals and your own self-development. The biggest thing to remember when you are self-reflecting, you may find when you answer some of the questions, you feel like you've made a mistake, you may have done something wrong. Give yourself some forgiveness. Forgive yourself for what you might think you have done wrong. So various topics that you might want to self-reflect in, and on my sheet here, they could be family, career, finances, mental health, maybe your physical health, maybe losing weight, exercise, friends and family, or even hobbies, having fun. So they're just some of the topics that we're going to cover in the next few minutes. A couple of questions to consider. If it's, particularly when you went into lockdown, you may have set yourself goals or challenges about specific projects that you wanted to do at home. So one of the questions you can ask yourself in self-reflection is, what did you accomplish during this lockdown? Am I coming out of this lockdown with any unfinished projects or unfinished work, etc.? So if you've answered yes to that, think about the why. What may have got in the way, or what may have held you back in getting those done? Another question to ask on this particular topic, how could have I helped myself through these if I was to do it again? So replay what you may do the next time. And one that comes up a lot when I'm working with clients is, how will I keep myself motivated? You can set all these goals and sometimes they hold you back. But if you can think at the front end about how you're going to keep yourself motivated and set yourselves maybe smaller goals as well. So they're just a few questions on family projects. Let's go through in one relationships. It could be a partner, a husband, it could be a child. These can be very self-reflective and maybe quite emotionally led. So the first question might be, what did I do to make my partner's life easier through this lockdown? I don't know why I'm smiling. What things do I regret maybe saying to my partner during this challenging time? It's an opportunity to think about, again, as I said before, what if I did things differently? Positively, how could I improve the way I communicate with my partner? I don't think there's anybody that will be watching this that doesn't think that there might be a way of improving that communication with their partner. So the next one, personal growth. This could be around developing confidence, maybe something to do with work. What is one thing I wish I did over the last few months but didn't because I was too afraid? So this is about thinking about your self-belief and those limiting beliefs. So what's one thing, excuse me, that I wish I'd done over the last few months but I didn't because I was too afraid? As I said at the beginning, be honest with yourself. What is one thing I did over the last few months that I wish I didn't do? The opposite there. What have I done to be kind to myself recently? And that's a bit of a nod to Claire's Be Kind as well, not just to other people, but to ourselves as well. And forward thinking, how can I create more self-confidence for myself over the next 6 months? Think carefully about that one. Moving on swiftly, this is specifically to do with work. So if you've been still working from home during the lockdown, these are some of the questions that you might want to consider when you're self-reflecting. How have I been pleased with the way I've worked or maybe performed during the lockdown? think about the things that you've done well. How did I make an effort to maintain the work-life balance? Some of us have been better or worse at that. Think about the things that you did make an effort with. It may be those things that you want to take forward into some of the decision making that you're going to have to do in terms of your new normality. One specifically around your colleagues and how you collaborate. Think about, how did I make an effort to collaborate and communicate with my colleagues during the lockdown? If you can take the good from this question, you can plant that into your new way of working. It is likely that many of you out there will still be working from home for some time now. So think about the good things. And one for future, how can I improve my productivity whilst working from home? Think of, even if it's just one thing, think about how you can improve your productivity. The last one on my worksheet here is about getting to know yourself better during this period as well. So again, these are quite emotionally led, quite deep questions. So again, give yourself time to think about these. What am I really scared of? Now, when I set up with Claire this YouTube channel, way out of my comfort zone, doing videos like this, what was I really scared of? I was scared of doing these videos and making mistakes. And through stepping out of my comfort zone, I've learned that little mistakes are just me. That's me being authentic. So hopefully it's all okay. Am I holding on to something I need to let go of? For example, that might be holding on to relationships that aren't doing any good. So think about, what are you holding on to that you really need to let go of? What matters most in my life? What an opportunity to think about that now. We've all had time to reflect. I don't know about you, but this glorious weather has given me an opportunity to think so much more positively. And I'm going to give another nod to Claire here. One of the last questions, coincidentally, on my worksheet is, what small act of kindness was I once shown as maybe a child or as an adult that I will never forget? Maybe you can take that forward as well. Do you know what? Self-reflection can be a very powerful exercise, even more so if you make that a regular activity. So raising your self-awareness, increasing your confidence to make those key decisions that you're likely to have to be making in creating your new normality. I really hope that those questions have been useful. As always, you can always, these are recorded, so you can play these back and just write those questions down, but I will try and put that document onto our Facebook page. I think Claire and I were speaking earlier as well. I think we're going to take some time out to do some of our own self-reflection. So maybe we'll share that with you later in the week as well. Hope it's been useful. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of today's broadcast. I think given the thought-provoking discussions, topics that we've spoken about today, there's a really important message that comes from that we all have to start making some decisions about our new normal. What does our new normal look like? And I would challenge you all to do that in as much of a positive way as you possibly can. You've got lots of tips about being kind. You've got some diet tips. You've got some reflection questions from myself. Look back over some of our previous broadcasts. There's lots of information there, lots of exercises and guidance to help you make those decisions. But in the meantime, let's bring Jackie and Claire back onto our screen and we will wish you all well. Let's bring them back on. Okay, Claire seems to have a little basket of fresh fruit. Well done, Claire. Yes, very. Not the edible ones, though, I don't think. No, they're plastic.
And vegetables, more vegetables than fruit. More
vegetables than fruit. There's a lasting message for you. So on behalf of all of us, we wish you well, stay alert, stay safe, and we'll see you very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.